What's going on, guys? It's your boy, the Boxing Lowdown here, man. This is going to be my live post-fight reaction to Terence Crawford and Sean Porter, man. Uh, what can I say? It was just a fantastic fight, man. We're going to cook on it. But shout out to everybody, first of all, man. Everybody that's joining in this Sunday evening, taking your time out of the day to spend it with me while we cook on this fight right here. Don't forget, as always, to drop a comment, leave a like. You know what I'm saying? Let me know what you guys thought about the fight. Share the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you're new in here, let me know. But big up to everybody, man. Thank you for taking the time out to come here and chill it with, man. So big up to everyone, man. But what a fight. What a fight, man. I'm still pumped up over it. My boy Harvey is in the building. He's put, yo, bro, I hope you're good. Let's get cooking. You know we will, Harvey, man. I'm gonna get cooking tonight. Just gonna give my thoughts, man. And you know what? If you guys didn't already know, me and Harvey actually had the same prediction for this fight, around 10 Crawford stoppage, and that's what it ended up to be. So big up Harvey. He already knew. I picked that same round as well, round 10. And yeah, what a fight, man. We've got Francisco up in here. He's put, do your thing, bro. Francisco, have you got that t-shirt yet, by the way? Let me know if you got that t-shirt. I've definitely sent it. I sent it, what? It must have been about, it's definitely over a week ago now. So yeah, let me know if you got that, Francisco. Conrad in the building. He's put, good evening. What's going on, bro? Let's cook on this, man. What a fight. What a fight, man. I was really looking forward to this. You could tell by the videos and you can tell by like the previews that I've been doing on the show and everything else. And I was really looking forward to this fight because it was Terence Crawford's most significant fight at welterweight. And we know what Sean Porter gives. We know that he brings it every single time. And I was just so intrigued to see how Terence Crawford was going to react to somebody that's really going to steam in and apply the pressure like Sean Porter does. But you know, Terence Crawford, we know what he can do in the ring as well. And I was just intrigued. I was intrigued. And yeah, the build-up was very good. I enjoyed watching the Blood, Sweat and Tears documentary, what Top Rank do before the big fight. So I was enjoying watching that. And yeah, we know that both guys come to fight, man. We know how good Crawford is. We know he can be slick. We know he's a switch hitter. But we also know he's got that dog in him. Do you know what I mean? We know that he likes to get down in the trenches when he has to. So I knew that like this fight was just, there was no way that this fight wasn't going to be good. So yeah, I knew that. And just the characters of both men as well, man. I was really looking forward to this fight. So yeah, last night I had quite a busy night last night. Went to the boxer show. Shout out to Dan Aziz, by the way, man. Brilliant win that was. We came out to support him. And, you know, he did his thing against Jose Burton, man. So shout out to Dan Aziz. And afterwards, we went to, there was like a VIP after party at the Hilton. So we went there for a little while and we were just kicking it with some of the people in there. I was doing a lot of networking over there and it was really good. It was really good. So nice to meet people up in there. It was good. And yeah, got home, obviously looking forward to this fight. And what a fight it was, man. I'll get started on it. Francisco said he hasn't got the t-shirt yet. All good. My bro DS is here in the building. What's going on, bro? Conrad has said I'm going to miss Sean. You know what? I'm going to miss Sean as well, man. I'm going to miss him as well. For those, I'm sure all of you guys know already, but he's announced his retirement from the sport. We'll cook on that as well. WM has said here, brother Daryl, I hope you're well. When Crawford sniffs blood, it's all over. Do you know what? I think that Crawford, let me know if there's anyone else, but I think he's probably the most ruthless finisher in the game. He's definitely up there. You know what I mean? I don't know many people that are more ruthless than him when it comes to finishing an opponent off. Crawford is that kind of guy. Harvey has said here, Crawford is class. His speed is incredible. And once he finds his timing, he's superb. You're spot on, Harvey. Ian has said here, let's go. Bud doing what Bud does best. He's finally leaving that Top Rank. Laughed at Arm's remakes to IFL saying he wanted Taylor next for Bud. Man never had the intention of Spence. Yeah. And you know what's funny as well, Ian, about that is like a couple of weeks ago, I put the clip on my Twitter page. Bob Arum was basically saying that Josh Taylor's got no chance against Terence Crawford. I'll find that clip somewhere, but he literally said that. And now he's trying to push for that fight. So it pretty much tells you, do you know what I mean? He wants to obviously still have options on Crawford, but it looks like that ship has sailed now. But let's get on to the actual fight itself, man. So, yeah, I thought going into it that Sean Porter would start off well. You know what I mean? I know that Crawford likes to take his time. I know that he likes to, you know, read his opponent before he really checks in. And I know Sean Porter is a quick starter. So for me, it was quite obvious that Sean Porter was going to start off well, maybe build up a lead. I think I was scoring the first 4 or 5 rounds. And then after that, I just wanted to enjoy the fight. I'm not going to lie. So I didn't keep a running scorecard. But Sean Porter definitely won the first. I remember that. And Crawford took the second. But I thought Porter was doing well. Do you know what I mean? Because his pressure wasn't just like reckless pressure. It was educated pressure at times. He would jump in, he would throw bursts, and then he would jump back out. So he wasn't steamrolling into Crawford like a madman. He wasn't doing that. He was applying educated pressure at times, and he was catching Crawford at times. Let's be honest, man. He was catching him, and I thought Sean Porter was doing all right. Do you know what I mean? He was seemed to have a game plan there, and Crawford kind of got out of his game plan pretty quickly. That was one thing that was quite concerning to me because Sean Porter was tagging Crawford with a bit more punches than he's probably used to. And Crawford went from being a boxer to saying, come on, then let's fight. And we've seen Crawford do that numerous times. We've seen him do it against the Mean Machine. We've seen him do it against Gamboa. We've seen him do it against opponents like that before, where when he gets touched, he will just revert into a fighter because that's just the kind of dog that's in him, Terence Crawford. So, yeah, eventually he started trading level with Sean Porter and even pushing Sean Porter on the back foot in the middle rounds. I started to think to myself, when he was doing that, when he was pushing Porter on the back foot like that, I started to think, okay, this is a problem for Porter because, you know, I know that he was like not steamrolling in, but for Crawford to kind of take the center of the ring and kind of push Sean Porter back at times, I thought that was a bit of a concern. But yeah, as Harvey is saying here, the exchanges were just brilliant, man. Porter was winning some of those exchanges. Crawford had the better of others, but it was just great to watch, man. I was like, we were getting into rounds 8 and 9, and I'm just like, where has this fight gone? Do you know what I mean? That's how entertaining the fight was. But yeah, my original prediction, I said that, you know, Crawford was going to eventually land on Sean Porter. When it started going into the later rounds, I could see Porter getting a bit tired, not having the same amount of energy as he did in the first few rounds. And that's when he's going to be, you know, at his most vulnerable. That is when Crawford is going to be able to land, you know, his shot, and it will catch Porter running in. And that's pretty much exactly what happened. Do you know what I mean? Like in the 10th round, Porter was just steamrolling in and he got caught. Crawford stepped back. I think he stepped back twice and then he landed on Sean Porter and it dropped him. And then, yeah, the writing was on the wall. Then it was similar to the Errol Spence fight, although Errol Spence didn't stop Sean Porter. When Crawford put Porter down, then I was just like, yeah, that's going to take the wind out of him. But Crawford's different. He might not let him go. And there was a lot of time left in the round. He was a bit more patient with the second knockdown, but he did get it. And, you know, he caught Porter with a right coming in and Porter went down again. And then obviously the controversy of the actual stoppage, Kenny Porter stepped onto the ropes. Porter was willing to continue. He looked like that he could continue, but Kenny Porter, his dad, his father, his trainer, he basically said that, you know, that's the end of the fight. He didn't want to see his son get any more punishment. And at the time, I was messaging DS at the time, and I was saying to myself, like, that fight could have carried on. Like, that fight could have carried on because Porter was doing well up until that point. There was a lot of different scorecards on the timeline, man. There were people that had Crawford by up 1. There were people that had Porter up 1. There were people that might have had it a draw. Like I said, I didn't keep a running scorecard, but in my head, I thought that Crawford was just doing enough. I thought Crawford might have been just ahead in my head. So I didn't keep a running scorecard, but that's what I was thinking. But it was close. There was a lot of close rounds, a lot of swing rounds. I know that Andre Ward had Sean Porter up. And there were other people on the timeline, like I said, that had Sean Porter up as well. So it was a close fight. So at the time, I was just thinking, like, why is Kenny Porter stopping the fight? But then after having a period of reflection and kind of understanding, you know, where he may be coming from as a father, you know, he saw his son was knocked down twice. Porter was beating the canvas the second time, man, really frustrated at getting caught and getting knocked down. And, you know, after what occurred afterwards with Sean Porter announcing his retirement, I guess the stoppage made a bit more sense to me. Us as boxing fans, we love to see the knockout. We love to see a conclusive ending, one where somebody's getting stretched out on the canvas. That's just the boxing fan in us. And we probably would have wanted that. So when a fight gets stopped and you can see that the person looks like they can continue, for us, it's always a bit frustrating. But on Kenny Porter's side, being the dad, looking after his son, do you know what I mean? I guess I can understand why he did stop the fight afterwards. There was only going to be one winner at that point, let's be honest. Sean Porter wasn't going to make a comeback and win that fight. So I guess when you look at it from that point of view, I can understand why Kenny Porter stopped the fight then. But it was the post-fight interview for me, which I'm going to get onto, which was a bit disturbing for me, in my opinion. Now, I'm not a dad. I don't have any kids or anything like that. So I guess I can't really say too much as to how a father should be with their son, even though, you know, I have my dad, I know what my dad is like, but I don't know. It could have been the raw emotion of the event. It could have been all of that stuff, but we'll get onto that anyway. We've got a lot of comments in here, so I'm going to read them first before I speak more about Kenny Porter's interview afterwards. WM said here, Porter boxed really well, but last night showed the difference between a good fighter and a great fighter. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Will Porter go down as a great fighter? We'll speak on that as well. Ian Hamilton says here, I've got to give Porter his due. He's never ran from anyone. Plus, he seems a decent analyst as well. All the best to him. Yeah, he's got a good career lined up outside of the sport. He's made his money. You know, he's healthy. He's got a good career lined up in commentary. So, you know, the future's bright for Sean Porter, man. You know, the future is bright. So fair play to him. Harvey says here, I felt like it went from round 2 to 8 in a few seconds. Yeah, I was loving it that much. A great fight that boxing needed. Literally, that fight flew by. Do you know what I mean? When it got to like round 9, round 10, I was like, wow, is that it? We're there already. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, that was a great fight, man. And yeah, it was a brilliant fight. Ian Hamilton says here, you could argue that Bud beat Porter better than Spence did. Errol went life and death with Porter. Bud doesn't seem to break a sweat when he's in there. I'm just saying, yeah, I think that it was similar to the Spence fight in terms of like up until the knockdown, it was nip and tuck. In that Spence fight, it was nip and tuck, and there was real concern on the Spence side that Porter could be up. And it was the same with Crawford to an extent. I mean, I had Crawford winning it, but like, yeah, I think that Porter was right in there as well until he got dropped. And that's the thing. Later on, he kind of fades and he gets caught. He rushes into something. We've seen it happen quite a few times with Porter later on. We've seen it happen with Crawford last night. We've seen it happen with Errol Spence where he gets caught late and dropped. We saw it happen with Adrian Broner. He was winning that fight all the way up until the 12th round, got a bit sloppy in the 12th, and he got dropped. So, yeah, I don't know. That's why I could just see Crawford winning it in the 10th round like he did, because I know that Porter's concentration kind of lacks as the later it goes on. So, yeah, shout out to Sean Porter, though, man. No disrespect. There's no issue with losing to Terence Crawford at all, or Errol Spence, or any of the guys that he's lost to in his career. There's no shame in that at all. So big up Ian Hamilton with that one. Big up Fee Harv here in the chat. He's put here, you got a very good microphone. Thank you, bro. Nice one. That's the first time I heard that. But yeah, thank you. I'm glad that the sound's coming out good on that. Right, let's get to Kenny Porter now. I was when I saw the post-fight interview with Kenny Porter, and you know, to me, it just looked like he threw Sean Porter under the bus, man. I'm just like, this guy has literally just fought 10 hard rounds against one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. Put up an effort like that. Do you know what I mean? He came up a bit short. Obviously, physically, he's drained. Mentally, he's probably drained. And then I just felt it was a bit bad taste, man, for your dad to kind of out you like that in public. It just didn't sit right with me. But at the same time, I look at it like, well, I don't know their relationship. Do you know what I mean? I'm not his dad. I can't really speak on, you know, how he raises his son. Because like I said, I'm not a dad. So I don't know. But like, just the way how it came out to me, it just was a bit, you know, it was a bit strange. And I commented on it afterwards that, you know what I mean? I just felt a bit sorry for Sean Porter there because, you know, he's standing right next to him. His dad was just saying, you know, like, oh, he didn't prepare how I wanted him to and this and that. And I just thought maybe you should have just kept that in-house. Maybe you should have just said that to him, you know, when you got to the dressing room or something like that. Did you really have to say it out loud? And, you know, the crowd were booing as well when they heard that. And I just thought it didn't really sit right with me with how that came about. But listen, I don't, they have their relationship. We know that Kenny can be hard on Sean. And I know that, you know, there's no doubt about it that Kenny obviously really cares for his son. There's no doubt about that. Even in the post-fight press conference as well, Kenny Porter, man, when I was watching him, I was just like, I was sympathizing with him because I thought to myself, like, yeah, he really does care for Sean. Do you know what I mean? There's no doubt about that. He does it in a different way than other people in terms of raising his son. But, you know, look at the kind of man that Sean Porter is. So you can't say that Kenny's not done a good job on raising his son because Sean Porter is one of the most likable, one of the most respectable guys in boxing. So he's doing something right. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it just came across a bit wrong for me. But yeah, I just thought I'd get that out anyway. You know, it was later announced in the press conference that Sean Porter was going to retire. So obviously that's probably going through Kenny Porter's head as well, that Sean Porter, how much is he really in it? He got dropped twice in the 10th. Crawford's a ruthless finisher. Porter has got a life to look forward to outside of the ring. He knew it was going to be his last fight. How bad was the stoppage really? But yeah, I just thought that with that interview, it kind of didn't go down too well. But then on the other hand, I've got to think of it like emotions are running high at that time. Maybe Kenny Porter was just really emotional as well. Let me know what you guys think about it as well here. Francisco says Crawford was going to win, but Sean didn't look that hurt. He could have continued, so that made the ending frustrating. Kenny said some weird stuff. Yeah, he did, man. He was saying some weird stuff in there, man. I'm just like, why did he say that? Do you know what I mean? But yeah, after reflection, I guess I can kind of understand a bit more as to why. WM has said here, Daryl, I think Kenny just made it up on the spot. Probably didn't have a clue how to say, I didn't want to see my son get slept. He could have done, man. I mean, emotions are running high. You're probably not thinking right. He's probably just thinking, I want to just get my son to the back and, you know what I mean, just console him, just get him out of here sort of thing. It was a tough fight, a fight that he lost, and, you know, emotions were running high then. But I think that with, I think that the ending was, yeah, we all know how that was going to end. Sean Porter was about to get stopped, man. I couldn't see him making 12. Crawford was right on top in that round. And, yeah, I don't know. I just thought that Kenny could have just, you know what I mean? But listen, that's just how they are. You know what I mean? That's how they've always been. It's not nothing that we haven't seen before with, you know, Sean Porter and Kenny Porter. And like I said, it's not like that Sean Porter is not a decent guy. So he obviously has been raised very well. Harvey has said here, yeah, what he said was changing room talk. Yeah, he should have said that in the changing room, bro. He should have just said that to him in the back, not in front of like 20,000 people, man, and millions of people watching on the TV. It just kind of made his son look a bit, you know what I mean? I don't think Sean Porter liked it either. When he said it, go back and have a look. Look at Sean Porter's face when Kenny Porter was saying that. He didn't really agree with it. So, yeah. But, you know what I mean? Like I said, I'm not a father, so I can't really say too much about it. But that's just what I saw from my view. Ian Hammond says here, I can't doubt a dad for saving his son. My dad would perhaps do that. Yours as well. Need more like Porter Sr., who's just out there for his fighter. Yeah, you're right, Ian. You're right. I don't want to disrespect Kenny. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to disrespect him. He's looking out for his son. And when I saw that press conference afterwards, you could see he clearly does care for his son. There's no doubt about that. So, yeah, what came out, but I'm not going to slate him too much. I won't slate him too much about that at all. Ash says here, no one should judge how a father speaks to their son. Only they know what is acceptable in their relationship. We are holding them to our own standards. You got a point, Ash. I'm not going to lie. You do have a point. I just said my opinion on it, but you are right. I'm not judging Kenny Porter with what he said because, like I said, it's their relationship, and he's obviously raised Sean Porter very well. Sean Porter is one of the most likable guys in boxing, and also Sean Porter, although it didn't seem like he took it very well, like there's no doubting as to what Kenny's done for him as a dad. So yeah, frustrations and emotions and everything are running high. At the time, I was still thinking it in my head that, okay, maybe this is an early stoppage a little bit. But like, you know, like on reflection, when I look at it now, and I don't know if you guys have seen the post-fight press conference with Kenny Porter talking, I'm sure it will change a lot of people's views. I'm sure it will on that situation. Harvey says here, it's sad to see Porter end it, but he had a solid career, two-time world champion, and a resume no one can deny. Hope he's proud looking back. Yeah, I hope so. I hope so, man. Sean Porter set up nicely. You look at some of the names that he's fought in his career. He's fought everybody at welterweight. Do you know what I mean? He's fought Keith Thurman. He's fought Terence Crawford, Errol Spence, Danny Garcia. Do you know what I mean? Andre Berto, Devin Alexander. He's fought all of the top guys, man. And he hasn't won all of them. He's fought Adrian Broner as well, if you can throw him in there. He's fought all of those guys. He hasn't won them all, but he's always been very classy. Do you know what I mean? In victory or defeat. Ugas as well. You know, he comes to the mind. He's just been very classy with it. Do you know what I mean? And he's got a bright future. Like, he commentates for the PBC. He has his podcast called The Porter Way. So, you know, his future's bright, man. He's got a nice wife. You know, his wife looks. I was looking at his wife. I was like, yo, is that Porter's wife? But yeah, fair play to him on that. He's got kids. He's doing his thing. So I'm happy for him. And he's 34 years old. And what he said in the press conference as well, he's like, I don't want to be looked at as a gatekeeper. And Porter is too good to be a gatekeeper. We shouldn't be looking at him like that. So yeah, when I think about it now, the timing is perfect, really, as to when he did retire. But what next for Terence Crawford? We'll get onto that, man. Some more comments in here. Dean Sinclair said here, Kenny panicked, but I would have done the same as a father. This is why I'm not overly keen on father and son partnerships in boxing. Yeah, I'll tell you what, man. what would you have done as a father? Do you know what I'm saying? Like your son just got dropped twice, and you know what's in front of him, and you also know in the back of your son's head that he's thinking about he's going to retire after the fight. I bet we all do the same sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? So as a fan, while we're watching it, we're just like, yo, man, that could have carried on. But, as a dad, do you know what I mean? It's totally different. And yeah, this brings into the debate father and son relationships in boxing. We've seen it a few times in the past, how they may affect relationships. One that comes to mind specifically was Shane Mosley and his dad. His dad was very like hands-on with his career. And at one point, Shane Mosley left his dad. Do you know what I mean? And he just moved on, got a new trainer and did his own sort of thing. So it can have a good effect. It can have a bad effect. It just depends on the dad really and, how the relationship is. But yeah, I remember even when I was growing up and I was boxing, obviously I never made it to like no significant level like that. But yeah, with my dad, he was involved, but he wasn't like in my corner or anything like that. He wasn't like watching me in the gym and telling me what I needed to throw. He would kind of let other people do it, but we would still talk about it every night. Do you know what I mean? But he wasn't like, kind of like how Nigel Benn and Conor Benn are, kind of like that. Do you know what I mean? Where that he can go to his dad for anything, but Conor Benn doesn't have his dad in the corner. Conor Benn doesn't have his dad as, you know what I mean? He kind of lets other people do that. So yeah, there are loads of different type of father and son relationships. The Eubanks, for example, I remember a lot of people thought that Eubanks Senior was too involved, but like Ash said earlier, man, I mean, I guess we can't judge how a father is with his son. Do you know what I mean? Like, if there's clearly love there and he wants what's best for him, then who are we to really judge? Do you know what I mean? But yeah, the whole father and son thing in boxing is it is a great topic to speak about because yeah, how much is too much? Some people look at Kenny Porter and thought he was too much, but yeah, I don't know. That's out there for people to debate. WM said here, we have short memories. We were quick to criticize. This is perfect. We were quick to criticize Josh Warrington's dad for not pulling him out when he was getting battered by Lara in the first fight. Absolutely. Absolutely. Fee Harver says here, should dad be training son? Truth be known. That way the WBC may not like it. Asher said here, that was different. Warrington was absolutely gone. He should have been pulled out way earlier. So yeah, Ian Hamilton has also said here, if I were Bud, I'd go Ugas, beat him to leverage Spence more. Him having that extra belt gives Errol no where else to go, but I think he'll try and get, has he got another comment here? Yeah, Errol Spence straight away. So where does Terence Crawford go from here? After the press conference now, Crawford was kind of asked, like, what's he going to do next? And he was very open about it. He said that, he couldn't land the Spence fight with Bob Arum and Top Rank. So why was he going to stay with Top Rank? And I felt like, it wasn't like it said in bad jest or anything like that. But it was definitely a parting shot at Top Rank, I think, for what Bob Arum kind of said about Crawford a few months, last year it was, I believe, when he said that Crawford wasn't able to sell and they lose money in Terence Crawford. And, do you know what I mean? Maybe they might not want to sign him up. So, yeah, there's been a bit of back and forth for them in the past. But ultimately, do you know what I mean? Crawford, he's got options ahead of him now. And part of me is thinking, like, maybe we might get that Errol Spence fight in 2022. And hear me out, because I thought that we were past it. I thought it wasn't going to happen. But hear me out on this one. I think that it could happen now due to the fact that Errol Spence being there to watch the fight, due to the fact of Errol Spence, on his social media, really kind of talking about it more now, sharing pictures of them two face to face on different graphics and stuff like that. And the fact that Terence Crawford was pretty dismissive of an Errol Spence fight before, last night he was really talking it up again. Do you know what I mean? So could we see Crawford go over to the PBC? Could we see Crawford and Spence fight each other next year? I don't know. I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see. I think it's a possibility. Errol Spence has been, he hasn't fought in a year. He last fought against Danny Garcia in December. So will he need to have like a tune-up fight? I know he doesn't really like them, but will he need one of them before jumping in with Terence Crawford? Or does he jump in with Crawford straight away? My phone has been buzzing all day about that fight as to who wins it, who people have got. And quite a few people are going for Crawford now, citing the fact that Errol Spence has been inactive, also due to the fact that he had that horrific car crash and that his body might not be the same. He's just overcome a serious eye injury as well. How much has Errol Spence really got left, man? He's not living the most cleanest life outside of the gym compared to Crawford anyway. So will Errol Spence be able to defeat him or not? I mean, on the other hand, Crawford was hittable last night. Do you know what I mean? How would he react with Errol Spence tagging him like he did? Spence going to the body like he does. It's a fantastic fight, man, and it's one we need to see in 2022. And I wouldn't say I'm optimistic. I'm just holding a little bit of hope that it might happen. But negotiations are going to be a sticking point in terms of Crawford crossing the street and stuff like that. Maybe we might see that. I don't know where Crawford's going to go. He could be a free agent like Canelo does and just go to the highest bidder, or he could sign with the PBC. They're realistic for me right now as to what he chooses to do, but it'll be interesting. They're talking about it more now. Errol Spence and Crawford are. So I don't know. Let's hope it does happen, man. Let's hope it does happen. Asher said here, Teofimo and his dad is a toxic relationship. It's early in his career and all is fine for now, but that will be a car crash, no doubt. I saw in the Blood, Sweat and Tears documentary before Teofimo fought Lomachenko, and he was basically saying that his relationship with his dad ain't the best. He was basically saying that. So you never know. I hope not, but I'm not a big fan of, I have to keep it 100. I'm not a big fan of Teo and his dad. So I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, it could be. It could end up that way, but let's see. Ian Hamilton says here, I'll never get why young fighters or potential stars still sign with Top Rank. Aram just isn't the guy who can make you a star anymore. Plus, he's 90 plus. Top Rank should remove him. Squared Circle was said here, what's up, Daryl? Spence ran away like a thief in the night with his tail between his legs. It was funny, man. Errol Spence there at the end, kind of just like shook his head at disgust and walked out of the arena to a lot of boos, man. It was entertaining stuff. And it's just the reason why we need to see this fight, man. We need to see it. But yeah, I saw a lot of Crawford fans going at Spence saying that he's scared. I saw a lot of Spence fans going back at the Crawford fans. I think that this is a great fight, one that we need, man. One that we actually need. And listen, I just don't even know why it's not been made yet. I know there's a sticking point with money and stuff like that, but in terms of like their career and where they can get to with a win, and even the loser, do you know what I mean? Like the stock will still rise for the loser for me. So there's no shame in losing to the other. So let's hope that fight gets made. But yeah, Errol was the pantomime villain last night in there. Obviously, a lot of people had traveled from Terence Crawford's hometown of Omaha, Nebraska to watch that fight. And Errol Spence was just in there, man. And just the way how he got up and kind of walked out in disgust, it was pretty funny. Like, he just left the arena, man. It was funny. And then he was tweeting a lot of crowd afterwards as well. So, yeah, that was good to watch, man. That was good to watch. Ash just said here, Crawford will have to sign his life away to the PBC to get the title shots. He won't get it if he's a free agent or if he's with another promoter. So, yeah, you're suggesting that he should are you suggesting he goes to the PBC then? Because that is the fights that we need. I mean, he did talk about going up to 154, but I'm not. Stay at 147. I mean, if you can make the weight, that is healthily enough. He did look big in there. Crawford did actually, but yeah, I think that he needs to stay at welterweight and try and get that Spence fight, man. If not, then yeah, maybe pursue other options. Josh Taylor is another option, and maybe he might want to do that. But yeah, the Spence fight is the one that we need. DS is here. He says here, Spence definitely needs one, maybe even two warm-up fights before going anywhere near Bud. I know, but does Spence, I remember he said one time, I think he tweeted it or he said something like, I don't like warm-up fights. I'd rather just get straight in there. I think it was before he fought Danny Garcia, actually, where people said, is this going to be dangerous for him? Straight after the car accident, his first fight since then, and he took on somebody that was, a top quality welterweight in Danny Garcia. And he was asked about that before the fight, and he said he's not interested in tune-ups right now. He said he can't get up for them, and he just wants to fight the best. So, in terms of activity, in terms of, to me, I'd have Crawford as the favorite going into that fight with Spence, but it'll be interesting to see what he does. I think Spence said that he'll be back in the ring by March time. So I doubt that would be Crawford, but we'll see. We'll see. Big up DS, man, every single time. Theo Harver says here, that fight will not happen for a long time. Truth be known. I hope you're wrong, but you could be right. Asher said here, agreed. Teofimo Lopez turning up to the Canelo fight with his belts. Yeah, I mean, yeah, for me, that was... I'm not a big fan of Teo, man. I know that fight with Cambosis is next week. I've got respect for him, obviously. I do rate him as a fighter. I do think he is one of the best out there in terms of that division and those people around him. And he has got a win over Lomachenko. So I do respect him highly. But yeah, I'll be slightly rooting for Kambosos next weekend, man, for sure. I don't think he'll do it, but I wouldn't mind seeing him do it for real. Phil Harver says here, come on, look what Bob did with the King Fury. Yeah, he did well with Fury. Do you know what I mean? But that's not necessarily the same for everyone. One size doesn't fit everyone. With Crawford, I think he's done okay. I don't think he's done terrible with him. But in terms of getting him to the next stage and fighting the likes of Errol Spence, he's just in that division where the PBC control the welterweights. Do you know what I mean? The PBC control the welterweights. They've got all of the guys up there. They've got Errol Spence. They've got Ugas. Do you know what I mean? They had Manny Pacquiao before he retired. They had Sean Porter as well. All of the top welterweights, Keith Thurman. They've got Boots Ennis. They've got all the guys up there, man. So, yeah, I just think that's the place to go. But we'll see what he does. We'll see what he does. Crawford's 34 now. Do you know what I mean? He can't afford to hang around for too long. So, yeah, let's see what happens. It'll be interesting, but it definitely don't look like he's going to sign with Top Rank again. Big up Harvey here. He said here, where do I have Crawford on my pound-for-pound list? I saw yours, Harvey, I think, earlier. And, yeah, for me, it's got to be Canelo 1, Usyk 2. Maybe you can interchange them both. It's close between them two for me. And Crawford at 3. I've got Crawford at number 3, but behind those two, I've got him higher than Inoue. I've got him higher than Spence. I've got him higher than Josh Taylor. I think that the top 3 are those 3. Crawford, Usyk, and Canelo. They're the top 3. Not in that order, but yeah, that's the top 3 for me. I'll have Crawford at number 3. But I mean, if somebody has him at number 1, I know Laurie has him at number 1, but for me, I'll have Canelo, Usyk, and Crawford for me. If you've got Usyk above Canelo, I won't argue that too much, but that's how I have mine. I'll probably have to do a pound-for-pound list, man. Maybe like a top 5, top 10. But off the top of my head, top 3, that's my top 3. Harvey agrees with me. Asher said here, Usyk has to be above Crawford. Americans get too gassed. Usyk has beaten 20 Porter-level type opponents and better. The thing with Usyk was that Brady's fight, he could have easily lost that for me. He could have easily lost that fight. I thought he did lose that, to be honest. But then when you look at what he has done, you know what I mean? You can't really argue at all what he's done. Like going into everybody's backyard and winning convincingly, other than that Brady's fight. Going up to heavyweight and beating AJ as well. Do you know what I mean? Like you've got to have Usyk top 2. You have to. You have to. Like if you don't, then I don't know what you're putting your pound-for-pound list on if you don't have him up there like that. So yeah, he's above Crawford for me. But I think Crawford's up there, man. I mean, look, he's a multi-weight world champion, former undisputed champion, looking devastating at welterweight, defeated a solid top world champion in Sean Porter. So, yeah, I do have Crawford at number 3, but, yeah, those two are the top 2 for me, for sure. What next? Yeah, just going to continue on with Crawford as to what's next. I hope that we get an announcement soon as to what he does next. I think it's very interesting. I think he needs to kind of map out his career as to he don't want to be as inactive as he was, over the last year where he only fought, only once this year. We want to see him out a few more times. But with the Errol Spence fight being spoken about, it could be a possibility that he does go with the PBC. Let's see. Squared Circle has said here, Aram has got Bud undisputed at 140. I think he's done everything in his power for Bud. The Spence fight is out of Aram's hands. Yeah, I agree. That's why I don't think he's done the worst job with Crawford. Do you know what I mean? I think that he did get him the undisputed championship at 140 pounds. Do you know what I'm saying? But at 147, they just couldn't make those fights with the PBC. Couldn't cross the street, so to speak. They couldn't work out a deal. Now, Bob Arum has worked out a deal with the PBC before, as we've seen with Tyson Fury fighting Deontay Wilder. So why couldn't he get the Crawford one over the line? That's obviously going to go down to financial reasons and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. I just think that he's done as much as he can with Terence. The split was amicable. Do you know what I mean? There wasn't no beefing on stage or anything. They've said what they had to say to each other. But yeah, the split was pretty much amicable. And, you know, when a contract runs out, it runs out, man. He done what he could do. They part ways. Maybe they might work again in the future. But in terms of a long-term deal, then, yeah, I mean, it's not all bad. It's not all bad. Francisco has it as Crawford, Usyk, and the Diva. Yeah, the Diva. Fair play. Yeah, those are the top 3 for sure. Those are the top 3 for me. No doubt about that. In my opinion, anyway. Asher said here, do you have any interest in Josh Taylor and Terence Crawford? Yeah, I do a little bit. I do, yeah. I think Crawford wins it, but Josh Taylor for me, every time I thought, he might lose this one or he might be in a bit of trouble this one, he's proved me wrong. Do you know what I mean? And he's an unbelievable fighter, Josh Taylor, and he looks big. Even standing next to Crawford this week when the two met at the top ranked gym, he looked really big, man. He looks like he can fit into welterweight very well. He's got the frame, he's got the height, he's got the nastiness, he's got the bit between his teeth, and it'll be intriguing to see how he gets on at welterweight. I wouldn't like him to jump in straight away at welterweight and fight Crawford. I think that somebody like a Porter would have been a great fight for Josh Taylor. And again, that makes it sound like a stepping stone or a gatekeeper. So maybe that's another reason why Porter was decided to retire. But that would have been a good fight, Josh Taylor and Sean Porter. But somebody at welterweight for him to test himself as, if he was ever able to get the Ugas fight, that would have been perfect. Get the Ugas fight, and then after that, fight either Crawford or Spence, or the Crawford and Spence winner. That would be good. I'm only speaking boxing fantasy right now. That's not going to happen. But yeah, I would have liked to have seen that. I wouldn't have liked to see him jump straight in with Terence Crawford, not for me. But even so, I think that as much as I really do rate Josh Taylor, he is in the top, in the pound for pound list for sure. He's undisputed champion. The guy has got, he's a tremendous fighter. I'd have Crawford as the favorite over Taylor for me. DS has said here, I've got Usyk at number 1, Crawford at number 2, Canelo at number 3. Conrad has said here, Taylor looked huge. He looked massive next to Crawford, man. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I think it was on IFL. Maybe it's on some more. Actually, it's on the Top Rank YouTube channel as well. You see that Josh Taylor and Terence Crawford kind of just like acknowledging each other in the gym, kind of saying hello to each other. They were secretly sizing themselves up with each other as well. And yeah, it was good to see. It was good to see. But they had a lot of respect for each other as well. You can tell that. But one thing about them two is that both of them can get nasty. Do you know what I mean? Both of them tend to have the bit between their teeth. They don't take no shit. And especially when they're, facing an opponent and it gets close to fight week, they're really bitty. So how would they be with each other? Do you know what I mean? Would Taylor be getting in Crawford's face like he did with Ramirez? Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't know, man. Because we know what Crawford's like as well. So I'd like to see it, but it's not the top fight on my list. It's not like the one that I really want to see now. The one, obviously, that I really want to see is Crawford and Spence. So that's the one, yeah. But Conrad said he really wants to see that fight. Francisco says here, Taylor versus Crawford would be great. Taylor is big at 140. He'll be fine at welterweight. Yeah, I think he will. I think he'll carry up the power as well. I think he'll be stronger at welterweight, man. It will just be how he takes the punches against those bigger guys. That's all. He's shown a good chin so far. So I know he was rocked a little bit against Ramirez, but Ramirez is a puncher. So let's see how he gets on. It'll be interesting. Conrad said he doesn't think it will sell a lot of pay-per-views. Harvey says here, I'd like to see that, but I favor Crawford by decision. Yeah, I think Crawford will beat Taylor. Squared Circle says, I'd rather Taylor fought Lopez. Ian Hamilton says, to be honest, I've got small interest in Crawford and Taylor. It's because I want Bud to fight the PBC guys. Plus, I'd rather Taylor versus Tio. That would be nasty. Just my opinion. I agree with you, Ian. I'd take Crawford and Taylor, but there are other fights I want to see above that. You know what I mean? Obviously, Crawford and Spence. I want to see Crawford kind of infiltrate the PBC shit, man. I want to see him go over there. I mean, he's already beaten Porter, but Spence is the one that we want. Him and Spence. With Josh Taylor, he's got fights that he can make. The Teofimo Lopez one, that's one that could be made. If Teofimo Lopez gets past Cambosos, they're talking about Lopez and Haney, but, Lopez and Taylor is an option as well. That would be a nasty fight. That would be a good fight for me. So, yeah, there are other options out there. I wouldn't want Taylor to just jump straight up to 147 to fight Crawford anyway. So that fight can wait. That fight can actually wait. It'll probably be better for him if he waited a little bit longer because, like I said, Crawford is 34 now. Surely he can't keep up to the same levels as what he's at right now in a couple of years. So this is why he needs to maximize right now on that Errol Spence fight and just really get that one out of the way. And then we can go from there as to look at other fights with Crawford and Taylor and so on. Looking at it a bit more, I wanted to speak quickly before I go on Demetrius Andrade and Jason Quigley. I wanted to quickly speak on that and, kind of just say that I was really impressed with Demetrius Andrade's performance. It was a ruthless performance over Jason Quigley. I don't think there was any of us here that thought Jason Quigley was going to win it. But that's no disrespect to him because Andrade is a good fighter. But I thought that he really just took care of business that night. He was all business, man. He weren't mucking around in the ring. He took Quigley out of there in 2 rounds. And I hope that Andrade gets that big fight in 2022. Now, I don't know if WM is still in here, but I saw what he had to say about Andrade. There's not sympathy from everybody over Andrade not landing a big fight. But for me, I do have a bit of sympathy for him, man. I do think that he should have got that fight by now against the likes of a Triple G or a Murata or a Munguia or a Charlo. Do you know what I mean? I think that he should have got that. I don't know how much of it is down to him, but from the body language that I see from him, he really wants it. So, how much are we to blame Demetrius Andrade for those fights not happening? How much do we blame Eddie Hearn for those fights not happening? I think we got to blame him a little bit because he is Andrade's promoter, and Triple G does fight under the DAZN banner. Now, I know that they're pushing the Charlo fight, but that fight wasn't looking any realistic or anything likely for a long time. So why didn't he pursue the other fights against the likes of a Triple G or Jaime Munguia, who also fights on DAZN, but he fights under Golden Boy? I think that you could attribute some of the blame to Eddie Hearn a little bit. Let's hope that we do get it in 2022, though. I did see Demetrius Andrade's mum confront Eddie Hearn backstage, really going at him a little bit as to why her son ain't getting the fights. But yeah, let's hope that it does happen. I'm not even saying that Andrade beats the ball. I'm not even saying that at all. I think that he can be beaten. I do think he's really good, but he has got flaws as well. So, the Charlo fight and stuff like that, that could be 50-50 for all I know. The Triple G fight, Triple G slowing down a little bit now. Let's just see it. Do you know what I mean? That's all I want to say. As a boxing fan, I just want to see those fights, man. It doesn't matter who wins it. I just want to see them. Asher said here, I'm so happy for Andrade. The disrespect he gets in some quarters is undeserved. He's always exciting in the first 5 rounds, except this time he didn't play with his food. Yeah, you don't get paid for overtime, Ash. Do you know what I mean? You already know, he didn't play with his food. He just thought, you know what? This guy's not on my level. I'm going to get him out of there. And that's what he did. Do you know what I mean? It was ruthless from Andrade, and he fought with a bit of frustration, and he just thought, you know what? I'm just going to go in there and take him out. So fair play to him. I want to see him get that fight. I want to see him get it next year. Ash said to hear that Charlo fight is never happening. Just forget it. PBC will never allow it. Focus on Munguia and Triple G. Yeah, say that to Eddie Hearn, man. Do you know what I mean? I kind of agree with you. The Charlo fight is probably not going to happen. Do you know what I mean? Munguia and Triple G, maybe they're more likely. Will Triple G want to fight Andrade at this stage? I don't know. It's another unification fight. If it was to beat Murata, then he could have 3 of the belts at middleweight. But he is, what's he now? 38, Triple G, 39? How much more has he got left? Do you know what I'm saying? I don't think he's got much left. I don't think he'll be in the game for too much longer. He's probably looking at Andrade as a bad fight for him. But if that's the case, then do you know what I mean? Andrade, the only issue is, man, is when you're a world champion yourself, you can't force your way up the rankings like you do. You can't force your way up them and force the champion to fight you, because when you hold a belt yourself, you get omitted from the rankings. I'm sure everybody knew that already. So it's not like Andrade can put himself in a position to fight a Triple G. Munguia didn't even hold a belt at middleweight. So he could fight for a belt right now. But I don't know. I just don't think they'll throw him in there with him. I think he's been unlucky, man. I think that Andrade deserves a shot. I do. Ian Hamilton says here, Andrade delays me. If anyone needs a massive fight, it's him. To be honest, Triple G is just waiting for Canelo money again. To be fair, Eddie does seem to choose who he prioritizes for sure. I agree with that. Dean Sinclair said here, how do you think Andrade would get on versus Triple G, Charlo, and Murata? I think he beats right now. Boy, I think he could beat this version of Triple G. I think he could. I need to see what Triple G looks like against Murata, because when did he last fight? In February or January against the mandatory? It didn't really mean anything, that fight. But Triple G has showed signs of slowing down. The thing is with Andrade is he can look great, as Ash said, for the first 5 rounds, but then he could start getting caught. Triple G in his prime beats Andrade for me, but I think now I'll probably go for Andrade. Against Charlo, I'd pick Andrade. Murata, I'd pick Andrade as well. So I think he could beat them all. I think that it's the Charlo fight is a close fight. It's probably a 50-50 fight, that one, right now. Triple G, yeah. Murata, I think he beats Murata. Maybe that's why they don't want to fight him, man. I don't know. He could lose them as well. because he has shown vulnerability. After the Liam Williams fight, if you were to ask me who would win out of Andrade and those guys, I probably would have picked those guys. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's close, but I just want to see it. They're good fights, DS, man. They are. They're good fights. Asher said here, another option he has is to go up to 168 to fight for another belt, as he'll be the mandatory. That's a good shout because he does have the WBO belt. Yeah, so if he did move up to 168, obviously Canelo is the Canelo is he's got all the belts at 168, and you get the feeling that the WBO are not gonna piss Canelo off. Do you know what I mean? So it'll be interesting actually with that. I think he does have the frame to move up to 168. He has teased that option in the past to do that, so you never know with Andrade. Conrad said here, Triple G is 39. He don't want that Andrade smoke for the money they can offer him. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's 39 years old. Like you said, yeah, I thought he was 39. The Andrade fight's a bad fight for him right now. But, you know, if you're in the game, if you're still in the boxing game, then we can talk about these fights. Do you know what I mean? So if you're still fighting and you're still active and you're world champion as well, there's nothing wrong with us calling out for you to fight Andrade. I don't know why some people get offended when you say, oh, why don't Triple G fight Andrade? It's like some people just say, oh, what's Andrade done? What's he done? Who's he sold? Or like, who's he fought and stuff like that. And it's just, I don't know, man. I just don't get that. I don't get that. Asher said here that Andrade exposes Charlo. Francisco said here Andrade versus Munguia. I'd pick Andrade in that one. Ash said here, I think Rosado as a holding fight, if they can get a big one next, isn't a bad shout. That should be easy to make as well. That should be very easy to make. So let's see what happens there, man. But yeah, like I said, I was impressed with Andrade's performance. I thought that he looked very good. He didn't play with his dinner. He just got rid of Quigley. And, you know, no, Quigley shouldn't be ashamed. I think Andrade was just on top form that night. And he'll come again, for sure. Asher said here, the argument is weak. What did Smith, Billy Joe Saunders, and Caleb Plant do? Yeah, it is very weak. I said that as well on my Twitter, that people that say Andrade hasn't fought anyone, or he can't sell, or he's boring and this and that, I'm just like, I can't take those people seriously as boxing fans, man. I can't. Because I just think to myself, like, why don't you want to see these type of fights? If you're willing to see Canelo fight Yildirim, you're willing to invest yourself in that. You're willing to see these other type of fights where the fighters clearly don't deserve it or they haven't beaten anyone of any note. Look at Triple G's last opponent. I mean, he was the mandatory. No one can understand why. Did he deserve a fight with Triple G? Who did he beat to fight Triple G? That's what I'm saying. So when I see people say that, I'm just like, you guys are not serious boxing fans to me. It's more of a fanboy thing. And I get it. Like, people are, you do have your fanboys. I don't even think there's much wrong with that. But just don't call yourself a real boxing fan if that's who you are. Do you know what I mean? We'll just take you as you come. So, yeah. Let's hope that Andrade gets that fight in 2022. They're really building up the one with him and Charlo. They're going to have to get a lot of money for Charlo to fight him, I think. And that will probably have to be done on the PBC as well. But let's see what happens, man. Maybe Chris Eubank Jr. could fight Demetrius Andrade. You never know if he beats Liam Williams. That could be a good fight. So, yeah, that would be interesting as well. Would the Americans really rate that, though? I don't know. How much? They didn't rate the Liam Williams one. I don't know how much they rate in Chris Eubank Jr. either. So I'd like to see that as well. That's not a bad option. But the middleweights just need to fight each other. They need to fight each other, man. They've been circling around for the longest time. I know we do have a unification in Triple G and Murata, but the other guys over there, like Andrade, Charlo, and everybody else, man, Munguia, we need to see those guys get it on. Eubank Jr. We need to see all those guys fight each other, man. It's been too long now that they've been circling around each other. So let's hope that it does happen. Ash said, how bad would Eubank get smoked by Andrade, Daryl? I think that's a bad fight for Eubank, man. I think that's a bad fight for Eubank. I think he gets caught a lot. And I think that Andrade, with his style, if Andrade is switched on and he doesn't switch off, yeah, I think that could be a bad fight for him. But then Liam Williams pushed him all the way. Do you know what I mean? He did push him all the way in that fight. I know styles make fights, but yeah, I think that Andrade would beat Eubank for sure. But the way how Ash is talking, I think he thinks that Eubank could get knocked out. I think Eubank Jr. is tough. He's got a very good chin, man. I just think Eubank struggles with boxers like that. And I think Andrade is that kind of boxer. He knows how to turn it on as well. But I think his style is probably not the best for Chris Eubank Jr. for me. So anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it there, man. We've been 50 minutes in. just my reaction to the fight last night and some of them over this weekend. Like I said, great show over here in the UK as well. The Boxer Show, really enjoyed that. Shout out to Dan Aziz for picking up the British title. Tremendous performance, man. There was also the Marku fight on that bill. Richard Riakporhe as well. Enjoyed that show. Big up everybody involved in that. And yeah, really enjoyed Crawford and Porter, Andrade and Quigley. Very good weekend for boxing for me. And look out for more videos over the week, guys. And don't forget, on the way out, hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it already. And look out for more content over the next week as well, man. I've got more videos to come. I've got the Mythical Mondays video coming out tomorrow. That's going to be a good one. So, yeah, shout out to everybody, man. Thank you all for joining me. And I'll catch you all next week. Big up to everyone.